Hey boo, hey, welcome back to your girl's channel. If you're not already a SGZ, get your butt down there, hit the subscribe button, and become an SGZ because we be popping over here. Y'all tell them we be popping over here. So, become an SGZ. Now, for today's video, y'all, this woman is giving a story time about how her dad is a pedo, has been a pedo, was a pedo. Y'all, we talk about pedoism today, okay? So, let's get into it.
Okay, so you all were asking for a series about my ex-stepdad and the situation with my cousin. This is a disclaimer. This is my story, and I'm going to tell it at my pace. These are lives and traumas that are not only affecting me, but others in this series as well. Now that that's out the way, I'm going to start from the very beginning. This is part one of the My Stepdad, the File series. My mom adopted my cousin, and she had been living with us for about 4 years at the time. My mom met my stepfather when I was 12 years old. My cousin was 14. My brother was 10, and my youngest brother was 8. She met him in 2000, and they were divorced by 2006. I was 18 at the time, and my cousin was 20. My mother met my stepdaddy at a gas station right up the road from our house, but it was a while before we actually met him because he was in the military, and at the time he was getting ready to get out of the military. So by 2001, he had already proposed to my mom and got out the military. He got out right before 9/11. Around this time, the whole R. Kelly sex-tape ordeal was going on, and it had surfaced on the internet. My stepdaddy was from Chicago, and he claimed him and R. Kelly grew up together, and he couldn't believe he would do something like that. Now, this was early 2000, and I remember the night it surfaced on the internet. He stayed up all night trying to download that video so he could watch it to see if that was really R. Kelly doing that to that 14-year-old girl. He claimed he was watching it because he didn't believe it was R. Kelly or whatever, and my brothers were sleeping. Now, at the time he showed it, tried to show the video to me, I was like, I'm not watching this. But him and my cousin stayed up watching the R. Kelly video. Now, the next morning, my cousin started acting so weird and strange and not really talking much. She even ran away like for a month, but eventually she returned home. And that was like the scariest time of my life because she just went to school and never came back. It wasn't until years later I found out that night that I left them two up to watch that R. Kelly tape was the first time he actually essayed her.
What?
After my cousin came home, the atmosphere was really weird. Like my mom kept asking her, is she okay? I kept asking her, is she okay? My stepdad really didn't say too much to her. Then things eventually kind of went back to normal. My cousin was getting ready to get her learner's permit, and they would be gone driving a lot. He would be out teaching her how to drive, he says. But in reality, he was taking her to different isolated places so he could mess with her. It seemed as though he was getting stricter and we could have no freedom. There would be days that he would be in the parking lot waiting for us when school ended. He would catch me talking to boys, and the fact that I had made a C would be the reason I had to be punished and be on punishment. He would tell my mom I was so fast, and he caught me talking to he caught me talking to boys. As a matter of fact, he would find the letters I used to write to my neighbor's son. He collected them all and took me to that boy house and made me read all them letters in front of his entire family, parents, and his siblings.
What, your mama let that happen? Where your mama was at when all this is happening? How does he have so much control?
Till this day, when I see that man or his parents, I drop my head. The most important years of a girl's life and her developing her self-esteem and self-worth, I spent being harassed and bullied by him. People have been asking me, where was your dad and did you tell him? I'm not going to speak on my dad in these stories, but no, he never knew. There was an incident that happened and my dad didn't believe me. So no, I never bothered telling him anything else that was going on with me. Although my cousin and I wrote letters to boys, I was the only one who always seemed to be in trouble. I started telling my mom he was showing favoritism. And of course, she was saying, he just wants the best for you and your future. I just felt like he was overly protective and concerned. He was just always around, after school, after the football games, just there watching to make sure we're not talking to boys.
It's giving you want them for yourself. It's given you want them to be your girlfriends, okay? They're not allowed to talk to boys because they're already taken by you. That's what it's given, weirdo. And favoritism is a real thing. Whether we want to admit it or not, all of us have a person that we relate to better than the others. So I believe that there probably was some favoritism in that household.
My mom married him in 2002. I tried to put my issues I had from him in the back and tried to be happy for my mom, so I started journaling my feelings. My mom was no longer going through my things because I was older now, and I really didn't go anywhere or do anything because I got tired of the embarrassment. We got more involved in church, and this is when I got more involved in my faith. I prayed every single night to God to change the way I felt about this man, but these feelings never went away. Sometimes we pray so hard for the things, and God is right there showing you why you're feeling that way in the beginning, but sometimes we're too blind to see it. 2003 was a strange time. My cousin found out she was pregnant, and by the time we found out, she was 5 months along. One thing my mama did was stay on top of us and our cycles, so she never understood how this went unnoticed. Come to find out, my stepdad had my cousin putting ketchup in her pad so my mom would not notice and had her believe that she was still getting her cycles. Excuse me. Years later, we found out he was checking her out of school at this point because my mama worked days now and he couldn't lock us in our rooms. He wanted her to abort the baby, of course, because, with her having a baby, the truth would come out. But when he took her to get the abortion, she was too far along and it wasn't safe. So now he has to put another person in this story so it would be believable. He had his friend pretend he was the baby father. He was a couple years older than us. That was so wrong of both of these men because the friend, we'll call him Brandon. Brandon's family were actually great people and great grandparents. Brandon's mom and his grandmother, rest in peace to both of them now, they're deceased. They would watch the baby and help us in so many ways so that my cousin could go to school and so that she can work. So now we have another character and another man lying to protect my pedo stepdaddy.
Brandon get his ass handed to him too. I don't care about how good his family was. For him to go along with this bullcrap shows you he just another dusty pookie like the rest of them. As a friend, at what point are y'all gonna start holding your friends accountable? At what point are you gonna let them know, look, bro, what you did was wrong? But no, you gonna be dumb enough to cover it up for him. You might as well be a pedo too, Brandon.
Although my mom was initially upset, she loved this baby. I'd never seen my mom so happy. She really loved my niece, especially when we found out she was going to be a girl. I was so excited to be an auntie. I used to talk to the baby every day. To me, that was my baby. Me and my mom actually named her. She was further along when we found out she was having the baby, so a lot changed in a short period of time. We got the due date, the sets, and everything. Although I was happy, I was also a child and I was overwhelmed with a lot of emotion, especially the fact that I had to share my space now with a newborn also. So I journaled my feelings and everything I felt. My stepdad ended up going through my things and finding my journal. He was so pissed off.
I am sick of this man. I am sick of this man. Why are you so in their business? Like, where your own kids at? I bet he got kids of his own that he ain't taking care of while he all up in her journal.
I was talking about the situation in my journal. I told him he had no right to even read my journal in the first place. First place. If anyone, that was my mother's job. He said, everyone's life is changing and we all have to adjust. And this is just a baby. I said, you act like this is your baby. Why do you even care about what I write in my journal? That's not your business. He said, you so damn disrespectful. My mom, of course, made me apologize. At this point, I was over this situation and over it and just counting down the days until I graduate high school and I can just go into the army. I then realized the point of he was driving a wedge between my cousin and I. He would talk about me to her behind my back because when this situation happened, my cousin wasn't even present. She was with her friend. For this story, we'll call her Star. She was with Star. Although I felt betrayed, I put a smile on my face because it was my cousin's baby shower the next day. Matter of fact, here's a picture of me from the day of the baby shower. I was so cute. I tried to be happy and I tried to smile, but on the inside, I was just so pissed off still. So my cousin is getting ready to have her baby. She was due January 2004. The baby was still breached at this time. However, instead of the doctor not making her have a C-section. Then he made her go through with the labor in which she almost passed away. She ended up having to have an emergency C-section. I was crying and praying the entire time. Now I'm a child still a virgin, 16 years old. I don't know the first about having sex or having a baby. And back then there was no social media where I could go and find the information out quickly. So she ended up having a C-section because my niece was stuck and they both were going to die had she kept trying to push her out. My mom is with her the entire time. So by the time I go and see the baby, my stepdad was there and he couldn't take his eyes off her. My cousin is dark skinned, Brandon is dark skinned, but the baby came out light skinned with a head full of hair, high yellow basically. She was the prettiest child I ever seen. I noticed my stepdad crying, the tears falling out, they coming out. He crying. I should have known then. I'm like, why are you this emotional? He said, I'm just happy to be a grandpa. That's all. I just looked at him so funny, y'all. Like, just gave him that look. And I'm like, you really doing too much about this baby. My mom was really happy holding the baby, and my stepdad, he never left that window.
You ain't they pappy. That ain't your grandbaby. You evil weirdo.
After my niece came home, everything changed. My brother's dad wanted to take my oldest brother to help the situation because my brother started acting out a lot. He hated my stepdad, and he was going through that stage where he really was rebelling. He actually ended up putting his hands on my stepdad. At this point, nobody really was afraid of him anymore. My cousin was such a good mother. We were in church heavy, but my stepdad, he would never go to church with us. He started drinking a lot. Yeah, that was that guilt that was killing him. He no longer had his power. My cousin protected her daughter. I don't even think my stepdad cared for her at all, like attended to her. Brandon's mom and his grandmother watched the baby while my cousin and I went to school. We even had a little job at this point. Brandon's family was so good to that baby. They were so good to my niece. They loved her, even his little sister. You know, my stepdad put Brandon in this situation. My cousin never messed around with that boy. My stepdad stole her innocence, and I know this for a fact. That's why the boyfriend situation was so hard to believe because my cousin and I talked about everything. Brandon had a thing for me, but I don't ever go behind my family or friends. And all I knew was he was the father of that child. One day we were having a family get together, and that's when Brandon tried showing me his penis. My stepdad saw Brandon was so drunk, and they ended up getting into a fight. I didn't see much of him after that. That's when he started telling everybody my stepdad needed to tell us who my cousin's baby dad really was.
I need some popcorn. It's heating up. Okay? Brandon said, oh, you ain't gonna let me show my to your stepdaughter? Oh yeah, I'm finna tell all your business, bruh. This how people be. This how people be. We already prevented Brandon from the get-go to allow himself to be put in this situation tells me that he ain't shit to begin with as well. What never was, okay? Brandon and the stepdad, they both need to be put in jail. Brandon don't deserve to get as much time as the stepdad, but they both need to go down.
So my mom starts pressuring my cousin about the father of her child. Prior to this incident, my mom and cousin had a great relationship. They never argued or anything. My mom loved my cousin and she loved her. Flash forward, everybody in my family on my mom's side, specifically the adults, was talking about this, about how much this baby looks like my stepdad. Which she does. She looks just like him. And his youngest daughter, to me, of course, took his big head and all. One day, my stepdad inserted himself in the lies and in the midst, of course, the liar that he is. He tells my mom, I did drop her off at a halfway house several times. I'm sorry I did this behind your back. My mama said, you always in the midst of this drama, always like, why? My mama said her mind told her from the beginning, but her heart wouldn't let her think this man would do this to her. When you love someone, it's that love you have for them that doesn't allow you to see the things that people on the outside are seeing. So she went and asked my cousin, and my cousin said, yeah, it's him. A man in a halfway house is the father now, who we don't know. We don't know where he is. That's so crazy.
Okay, so at first I thought that the cousin admitted that yes, it was the stepdad, but she said yes, him, the guy in the halfway house. So everybody just keep going along with the stepdad's lies. Are y'all afraid of him? Like, what is it? If this girl don't just tell the truth already, put him behind bars.
So we're like Nikki for this story time. My cousin name is Nikki. where's this man at? She was like, I don't know. Back then, there wasn't any social media like that, and the internet dial-up was so slow we couldn't like just Google him or look into this man. So we really left it alone. My mom and stepdad argued so much back then. He'd had stopped working and drinking more, trying to get his VA benefits. My cousin is a senior now, getting ready to graduate, so she is working and taking care of my niece. She's in another relationship at this time. My mom said, that's fine, she can date. Just don't be disrespectful bringing him in the house while she was working. Well, my cousin was rebelling. She did what she wanted, and this guy would be in there. My stepdad hated him so much. The house we lived in, the owners added on a room. So in my cousin's room, she kind of had her own space. It was a door inside her room that led right outside. So she would let her boyfriend come in and out during the night. My stepdad told my mom this. They got to arguing and arguing. My mama said, if you think you're grown, you and your baby can get out. Star came to get her. And when she was leaving, she said my stepdad's name and she said, he is the father of my child. And she left. So my stepdad really wasn't living with us. My mom was upset. She was mad. She was embarrassed and hurt. In the previous video, it was a span of the year 2005 and 2006. This happened in 2006, the year I graduated and was leaving for the army. It happened that summer. So she calls my stepdad and she says, you need to come get your shit and get it out my house. And when he came, my mom made sure my brother, who was 14 now, and myself was present. My mom was so smart about the situation. I'm glad she didn't keep us out because it's always your word versus someone else. However, when two other people are present, it's hard to say something never happened or to say you never said this. So he came with his big ass and he sat there on my mama's couch and we was waiting. But he has never touched or hit my mama. The first thing my mama asked was, are you the father of Nikki's baby? He said, yes. Yes, I am. And he said, I'm so sorry. My mom said, I have nothing else to say to you ever again. She didn't want to hear nothing else. Years later, do you know this man told his daughters and everyone that my cousin put on my mama's lingerie and seduced him while he was drunk. He denies ever touching her but that one time. But see, you have three other kids, sir, who was there. Three other kids who were locked in their room for hours. Three other kids who all have mental health issues as adults now and traumas now for the shit that you still sitting your big head ass up here lying about. This situation took a lot out of my mother. She wasn't the same person she was prior to this. I understand completely now. Trauma changes you. My mom been through so much. And one thing I admire about this woman is her strength. It's not that she hated my cousin. It's just looking at my niece was a constant reminder of the betrayal of her husband for so many years. Nobody won in this situation. My cousin had her innocence stolen. My niece grew up without a father and so many questions. My siblings and I were traumatized. My cousin boyfriend ended up becoming her husband, the one that she was sneaking in. She now has 3 kids, 2 boys with her husband and my niece. Sometimes, beautiful things come from tragedies. My niece is 20 years old and doing so well. She is living her best life now and becoming a nurse. She became to be very smart and had a lot of questions about this, but of course, no one ever overstepped her mother. We love her. We love her mom. And thank you all for watching my stepdad, the file. Please stay tuned for Life After Betrayal.
So the mama is the obvious one in the front of the two girls. And I'm going to assume that the dark skinned one is the girl who ended up getting pregnant by the stepdad, because the lighter skinned one kind of looks like the woman that was talking. So that's just my assumption. Y'all, this is happening every day. Every day there is a man or a woman out there ruining somebody's lives like this and then covering it up with a bunch of lies. Okay, lie after lie after lie. Eventually all of that is going to explode over. Okay, and the truth will have to come out. The truth always comes out. Sometimes it takes centuries, but the truth will eventually come out. And as far as the child of the stepfather, I think that they need to tell that baby the truth. I know darn well y'all ain't letting her at 20 years old still not fully know the truth. There is no way. I think y'all should have told her the truth the moment she started asking. Okay? At a certain age is too young to know something like that. But I think once she hit maybe like 10 years old, children are a lot stronger than we think they are. They really are. And they grow and they learn from traumas just like us. but she needs to know the truth. Because if y'all let her go all these years and she find out that even my family, the people that's supposed to love me, even y'all been lying and keeping this from me, you're going to ruin your relationship with her. Tell that girl the truth. Tell her everything you went through and tell her exactly why and how she got here. And even though it happened like that, you let her know that you are proud and you are very happy that she is here regardless of the circumstances. You know what I mean? And that's just my take on it, y'all, because there's not really much to say about this because this shit is just disgusting. And it's happening every day. It's happening as I speak to you. And the shit pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie, this shit is triggering. Protect your kids. Protect your kids and get more involved, okay? The moment your niece ran away for a month, you knew something was wrong. The mama herself said that she knew something wasn't right. She just loved this man so much she didn't want to believe it. Believe it! That's what's wrong with us. Y'all want to be so blind to love. And don't get me wrong, it can be very blinding. Oh, love will make you so stupid. It does that to you. But when you got kids involved, you don't have the chance or opportunity to be confused or naive or none of that. You have a child that you have to look after for. It's not just about you no more. You have to protect your children, boys and girls. These bad things happen to little boys too, every day. Protect your kids. Talk to them. Make them feel comfortable talking to you. And always believe your kids over that man. Take them serious. Even when your kid is lying or crying wolf, you still need to take it serious. Get to the bottom of it. And that's just what I feel about it. If you like this video, give your girl a like. If you didn't like this video, shoot. I barely like this video. But the like ain't for the stepdad, okay? The like is for me. So give your girl a like. Don't forget to subscribe. I love you, and I hope to catch you in the next one.